Hey guys, Kakarot 197 again with another question of the week. In today's episode, I will be answering 3 questions and I will have the timestamps right here so you can immediately jump to the question you want answered. 1. Where did I get my name? Kakarot 197. 2. Why didn't Athrun use the Legend Gundam to flee and instead stole a Goof Ignited? And 3. Why did the Y base never have a full complement of mobile suits? So, immediately jumping into the first question that was asked by the Grand Black Mage. Why is your name Kakarot when you are a Gundam channel? Did you initially want to do other things or was it just because? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have had the same question over the years. I am a Gundam channel, but I have a Dragon Ball Z name. And there is a reason, but it is kind of a stupid one. So many years ago, there was a very popular MMORPG at my school called RuneScape. And just as everyone else, I decided to start playing it. And when it asked me to create an account, I am extremely bad with coming up with usernames. So I just typed in the first thing that came to my mind, which was Kakarot. I was a big Gundam. I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan at the time, and I still like Dragon Ball Z, so I typed in Kakarot. Of course, I wasn't the first kid who had that idea, so the website displayed a message, I'm sorry that username is taken, but you can use Kakarot 197 instead. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll take it. And like I just said, I'm extremely bad with coming up with usernames, so I just kept using it. When I had to create my YouTube account, there we go. And then when I started creating Gunpla reviews, I wanted them to become popular, but I didn't really expect them to become super popular. So I just kept rolling with the username, and then by the time that I was like, well, this thing is getting a bit bigger, maybe I should change it. Like, the username kind of stuck, but now I'm again thinking about changing it to something a bit more professional, and then I'll just have like in brackets behind it like Kakarot 19 like something Kakarot 197. But yeah, I'll see about that. Then moving on to the second question asked by ninjaguy_12. Whoa, first time I've ever seen your face. And a question that I'd like to ask is, why didn't Athrun continue along with Durandal's plan and steal the Legend Gundam rather than stealing a Goof Ignited? And yep, that definitely makes a lot of sense. He stole a Goof Ignited, which was very much worse than the Legend Gundam that he could have stolen. But I do have like 2 reasons why he went with a Goof Ignited. One that could be very simple is that the hangar of the Goof Ignited was simply closer to where he was as opposed to the hangar where the Legend Gundam was. And then, well, Zaft's version of the KGB was basically already knocking at his door, so he was like, well, I gotta do this shit fast, and time matters, so he just ran to the Goof Ignited's hangar and stole the Goof Ignited there. Another thing which I think might be the most logical explanation is right before he gets the knock on the door by those Zaft soldiers, Mir tells him like, dude, you should be right now working on your Legend Gundam because that Shin kid is like all over his new Destiny Gundam and Durandal's catching on to it, so you should right now go work on that. So that would lead us to believe that Shin is at that moment working on his Destiny Gundam, which means that there is someone in that hangar that could spot Athrun, who is now running away, and there's basically a base-wide search happening for him. So it wouldn't be the smartest thing, if that was the case, for Athrun to go steal the Legend Gundam, which is next to the Destiny Gundam, where Shin is working. So going with the Goof Ignited would then be the safest option, because there is a possibility there's either no one there or less people there. Another thing that could also factor into his decision to go with the Goof Ignited, along with those previous reasons, is that maybe he also, on the one hand, overestimated the Goof Ignited versus the Legend Gundam. Because the thing is, we are led to believe that Athrun didn't really touch the Legend Gundam, so he might not know the specs of the Legend Gundam versus the specs of a Goof Ignited. So maybe he thought, if I go for a Goof Ignited, it should be enough. It should be fast enough because the Goof Ignited did have that flight pack. It did look like a pretty fast machine. So that might have played a small role in addition to the Goof Ignited hangar simply being closer, or Athrun knowing that there were people hanging around the Legend Gundam and the Destiny Gundam. Also, I would like to add a disclaimer that I am now basically trying to make sense of the quality writing of the second half of Gundam Seed Destiny. So any help in the comments down below would be appreciated. Oh, and one more thing that I also wrote down on my notes is maybe Athrun was playing some 3D chess in his head and they thought that he would go for the Legend Gundam because it was the obvious choice, so instead he would go for a Goof Ignited. That is, if either Athrun or the writers were thinking that far ahead. And then we quickly move on to the third and final question of this week's episode, asked by Vexen Dimitri. Why wasn't Sayla given a mobile suit of her own to pilot post-Jobro? Or why wasn't the wide base loaded with GMs post-Jobro, being that it's an actual mobile suit carrier under the Earth Federation Space Forces? And the answer to this question depends on where we are in the war. So immediately after Jobro, the wide base is reclassified as the 13th Autonomous Mobile Squadron, and they are basically a decoy squadron that is also judged to be at full force with just the Gundam and the 2 gun cannons. And when you look at some other squadrons, it is understandable why the top brass would see the wide base as a squadron that is at full power. So at that point of the war, it makes total sense that they do not get any extra supplies that would be desperately needed somewhere else. And in a way, the core booster is superior to a vanilla GM. The GM has an advantage in agility and close combat, but the core booster has on average better weapons than a GM. The GM has a beam spray gun, beam saber, and Vulcans. The core booster, just with its 2 megaparticle cannons, has way better firepower than the average GM. Yes, a GM can use a beam rifle that's the same as the Gundam, but there aren't that many to go around. So if I had to choose, being a giant GM fan, I might actually go for a core booster over a vanilla GM. In addition to the core booster probably being a lot easier to pilot, easier to master, and whatnot. So when you think about a complement of 1 Gundam, 2 gun cannons, and 2 core boosters, I think that is as good as it got for any squadron in the war at any time. So that's probably as close to full power as they could get. And in addition to that, there were also 2 Gundams that were meant to be sent to the wide base. The first one is from the non-canonical Super Famicom game Cross Dimensions, which is the Gundam Pixie, which was supposed to be on the wide base before Operation Odessa. And then, of course, we have the Alex from 0080, which was also meant to become Amro's machine. So then the RX-78-2 could have been passed to someone else, and then if Slegger had survived Solomon, by Abawaku, the wide base would have had a full complement of mobile suits. So if we go with the bureaucracy answer and everything was allocated as is with no spares, then that could be why the wide base wasn't at its complete full capacity by the Battle of Abawaku, because they simply were unlucky. And also, at the time that the Battle of Abawaku was happening, the Federation, despite their numerical superiority, they were definitely in dire straits as well. The Battle of Abawaku, I believe, was much more of a close call than a lot of people think it was. And if we then quickly go back to the previous point of the wide base already being considered at full force, it also makes sense that they would give gems to other forces so that they have a more even spread out force during the Battle of Abawaku, rather than something that Zeon did with Chimera, where they just focused all of their forces in one spot, so that, yeah, the Chimera squad itself is pretty powerful, but, you know, you have a whole battlefield. You don't just have one strong point, because they just get encircled. So that's all for this question of the week, and be sure to leave your comments down below, either with your answer to the questions or more questions to be answered in future videos. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope all of you watching have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.